What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the video. And today's we'll be diving into the rank system in MTG Arena, kind of just talking about the overall rank system, kind of how it works, like how you go about ranking up in the various tiers, kind of giving my little bit of feedback on ways to kind of assist you on maybe to make the process maybe a little less grindy. With that being said, if you like the video, hit that like button. It definitely helps out a lot. If you're new here, want to know post new videos on the channel, hit that subscribe button. It puts a +1+1 counter on the channel. With that being said, let's just dive in the video and let's just talk about it. So the first and foremost thing that I will say that is interesting about Arena is the competitive kind of side of the game when it comes to rank overall. Ranking essentially is a way that you can kind of see how well you kind of do overall based on how many games you play out throughout a particular season, which typically lasts the month that it currently is. As you can kind of see here at the time of recording, we're about 18 days left in the current season because it is the season of June. And then once we get to July, the ladder will reset. You will kind of regress a little bit so you don't start at the same rank you left off the previous month at, and then you kind of go about grinding it all over again. And the idea, which is pretty cool around here, is you do get rewarded based on where you finish off from the previous season. As you kind of see here, I do have these exclamation points on my current rank. This just means that I haven't played a single game of rank play in either of limited and or constructed. So the rank won't, allow me to get prizes until I actually physically play a game. Me for one thing, I'm not one who's into super competitive constructed Magic at the moment, just because a lot of the decks, in my opinion, just aren't super interesting. So I may wait until we kind of get closer to September when rotation happens to maybe try my bat at the new ladder when we have some newer decks that pop up with the newer sets that come out. But with that being said, the way the ladder ranking works, it kind of works in like a two steps forward, one step back kind of method. I'll pop up a little thing somewhere on the screen that you can kind of take a look at, just kind of to show you how it kind of works in the various tiers as you progress further and further up the ladder. I'll also show the best of 3 one as well, just in case if you're curious and you do like the more best of 3 style of Magic, that will be there as well, so you can kind of get an idea. And limited Magic, I think, works relatively the same way. As you kind of progress further, you do get penalized when you do lose, but you do get benefits of when you win, which is definitely very good. And same thing, I do think both limited ladder works the same way as constructed, so I don't think there's anything too different when it comes to best of 1 or best of 3, so they are pretty similar. The one thing I will say that's actually very interesting is that bronze rank is kind of like that rank just to get you, into the competitive scene of, MTG Arena, in the sense that you don't really lose progress when you lose, but you do get 2 steps up your rank when you do win, which is definitely very good. It definitely can make, you kind of get familiar, make you not as, upset when you do lose a little bit of progress. And then as you kind of move up, you do then go the 2-step forward, 1-step back method with the silver and gold rank, which is also very good. So in essence, you're allowed to, lose 2 games for every 1 game you win. So if you win more games than you lose, you're okay because you're making more progress than you're losing progress, which is always very good. Then once you get to the diamond and platinum tier, diamond and platinum, I can't read, I don't really know. Once you get to like the last 2 ranks, you then actually go into the 1-to-1 method. So every 1 game you win, you also lose. Whenever you lose 1 game, you also lose 1 step of progress. And when I talk about the progress, I forgot to mention, but I'm talking about these little bars down here. As you kind of see here, these will fill up as you kind of win your games. Once you get to a full bar, you move up to the next tier of that particular set you're at. And once you fill up the 1 for bronze tier, or whatever tier 1 you're at, you move on to the next set of next tier, whether it's bronze to silver, silver to gold, gold to diamond, diamond to platinum, platinum to diamond. I always get these confused. I know it's popped up on the screen. I'm not actually looking at it. I'm just kind of saying off the top of my head, but it is somewhere along those lines. So you do get ranked up, and then eventually once you fill up all the way at the top of diamond, which I do think is the last rank now thinking about it, you then move on to Mythic, and depending on where you are and when you land in Mythic, you'll be either in the numbers or you'll be in the percentages, which essentially means you kind of are in that top echelon tier of players in the game overall when it comes to competitive. Now there are many benefits of playing competitive Magic, in the sense that typically a lot of the games are a little bit more serious in my part. Sometimes with the play queue, if you ever notice that sometimes when a game's not going your opponent's way, your opponent just will scoop the game, just because they don't really lose anything if they bounce out early in the middle of a match. So it's one of those things that, typically in at least competitive side of Magic, more players stick around for the whole game unless they're really in the hole and they can, they bounce out because it doesn't look like there's any way for them to win. The other reason why it's actually very good is if we actually click on one of these, you can kind of see the overall payout for, you know, limited and or constructed. I do think the lists are the same regardless of which one you choose. So you do get rewarded with packs, you get rewarded with gold, and you do get rewarded with alternate card art. Once you get to platinum, you will actually get 2 alternate card arts, and then, you know, you get more packs. The gold kind of caps up at 1,000. I'm unsure why. I guess they don't want to offer too much free gold. I don't really know. It's just an additional pack. I honestly, to me, it doesn't really make any big deal, especially like limited, where, you know, you're spending gold usually to actually enter the drafts that you're playing, to actually get your rank up. It's kind of weird that it caps it at 1,000 because that doesn't even pay for a draft. But overall, you know, you do get rewarded the higher you get, and it's definitely a good incentive, kind of in the idea that you do get rewarded at the end of a season, you know, with something at least for your time that you spent ranking up. The other thing that's actually very interesting that happens if you do get to Mythic rank and you end up in the top 1,200 of, I think, either constructed and or limited, you do get an invitation to the Mythic qualifier, which essentially is exclusive to people who rank in the top 1,200. I do actually think at the time of recording, I do think they're kind of clumping these three months. I think May, June, and July all together for the August qualifier. Kind of interesting on why they're doing it, but essentially, if you hit Mythic rank top 1,200 by the end of the month in any of these months, you will actually, you know, get invited to this special tournament. And the tournament can be of various things, whether it's constructed or limited style of sealed and or draft. It's one of those things they kind of announce as it gets closer to the actual event, which is definitely very interesting. And I do think it kind of works like those pop-up tournaments they do every now and then in MTG Arena, where you actually do get access to, I think if you make it to the second day, you do get access to maybe getting some sort of payout for getting to the end of, you know, the X amount of wins at some point with actual real money, which is definitely awesome. The other thing I will say that's actually pretty interesting about, you know, when the ladder resets is that it kind of gives you a fresh start. So if you're not really into, you know, maybe you kind of get discouraged in 1 month, but then you kind of start at it again the next month, you kind of don't really lose too much progress from the previous month, which is definitely very good. And, you know, you always get a free shot at, you know, hopefully getting up to the top ranks of Mythic and whatnot. Now, the one thing I will say in Diamond all the way down to Bronze, you don't actually D-rank if you don't play. So if you do get to like Diamond rank 3, you don't D-rank if you just sit around and not really do anything from what I'm aware of. But when you get to Mythic and you maybe get to like Mythic, like let's just say rank 1,200, and you think that if you stay there, if you don't play any more games, you'll stay at 1,200. Mythic, unfortunately, the more games other people play, you'll actually get D-ranked. So you may go from like, you know, in the numbers to the percentages the next time you play. And as you get kind of towards the end of the season, you'll kind of see that your rank may drop faster or decay faster just because there's more people grinding more games to hopefully try to get themselves into the top 1,200. So it is one of those things that I would say that is a little bit on those things that you kind of have to keep up with it if you really want to stay in that top echelon of players in the top 1,200 of competitive Magic. The other thing I would say, it is a lot of games. This can be a grind. Essentially, if you were starting at Bronze, I think rank 4, trying to get yourself all the way to Mythic in 1 month, just trying to win every single game. I kind of actually did the math before I actually start recording. It's roughly about like 120 games, give or take. And that's just if you win every single game, which is impossible in the game of Magic because there's no deck that, you know, wins 100% of the time. If there was, everyone would be playing it. And essentially, I'm sure Magic at some point, or Wizards at some point, would go ahead and ban the cards that make the deck 100% winnable. But you're looking at a roughly 120 games of just possible wins, you know, to go from Bronze rank 4 all the way up to Mythic rank, just into Mythic rank, not actually, you know, up in the higher tiers of Mythic rank. So you're probably looking at, all in all, to really grind it all out completely from Bronze, you're probably looking at somewhere close to like 200 plus games, you know, with a mixture of wins and losses. And the one thing I would say, it actually gets much tougher, like I said, once you get to the Platinum and Diamond tiers, just because of the fact that every time you lose, you actually lose a point, and you only gain 1 point when you win. So, like, all in all, once you kind of get into those tiers, you really need to focus down on looking at a deck that you win at least, I would say probably around 60 to 70% of the time, just because every 6 games you win or 7 games you win, you're making some progress rather than losing some, which is definitely one of those things. And I know from time to time you kind of can go on some streaks, which is definitely very good when it comes to Magic. So sometimes if you're feeling very good, maybe just play until you lose kind of thing, especially if you're winning like 7-8 games in a row. That can definitely give you a lot of progress in that certain rank that you're currently in, which is always very good. Now, with that being said, I do have a couple tips on kind of, you know, how to go about, you know, finding a deck that you can kind of grind the Mythic rank ladder with when it comes to trying to get yourself up into these higher ranks. And I'm going to jump into my a deck suggestion, kind of looking at an idea of kind of a deck that you may want to try, especially if you want to try to grind out, you know, these games, especially when you're in the lower tiers. You're really trying to strive and get to that Mythic rank in by the end of the season. So the one thing I would say that's actually very interesting about like Mythic ranking and trying to rank up overall, you may be thinking to yourself, oh, this is Boris Winota kind of style of deck. You're looking for a deck that can kind of win very early and very quickly. So that's why you see a lot of players play like Mono Red. You see players play Boris Winota. You see a lot of players play these decks that can win by like turn 3, turn 4, turn 5 at the latest, just because they don't want the games to last more than like 5 minutes at most. Because if you can grind out 12 games in an hour, which actually turns out to do very well, you're gonna have enough games to grind, and you can kind of grind at a decent pace. If you're playing like a more of a control deck where you may take 20 minutes to play a single game, it's gonna take you a lot of time, like physically, to actually get yourself up the ranks. So that's why you see a lot of players play more aggressive style decks. Not saying you can't play more style decks, but if you're really trying to grind up, especially from a bronze rank, trying to get all the way to Mythic in a single month, you're going to need a deck that's going to try to win games very quickly. So I would keep this in mind when it comes to selecting a deck that you could probably go about trying to grind up those ranks. And the other thing I would say too is you'll see a lot more players play more aggressive decks just in general. So if you're someone who's trying to like figure out how to combat against the overall meta, you want to probably find a more a deck that's also aggressive as well. If not, it does very well against these more aggressive style of decks. So those are probably your two ways you can go about it. The other thing is there's many tools and many websites you can probably go to that kind of keep track of like the overall meta and just shows you like the overall player population playing certain deck lists, so you can kind of understand where what the player base is currently playing, so you can kind of get an idea of what to look out for. I know this Boris Winota deck is actually fairly popular. Mono Red's always fairly popular. I don't know if Sultai Ultimatum's as popular as it was, but it is a very strong deck, though it can be kind of long when it comes to how long it takes to win games. Mono White's very good. Trying to think of what else. Mono Black Auras is okay. Just find a deck that fits your style if you're looking to craft a particular meta style deck. And I may make a video kind of discussing some decks that would be a very good idea. Let me know in the comments below if that's something you guys are looking for. I can give you a couple ideas of maybe what to strive for, what to look for when it comes to building an aggressive style deck that you can use to grind up the ladder. I may not be the best example, as I don't do a lot of ladder climbing myself, but I do have an idea of what decks that people do play when they do try to climb ladder. Now, I would say, overall the Mythic ranking and all that stuff can be very important to yourself, especially if you're looking to kind of figure out a goal to kind of strive for. Maybe at some point in your Mythic playing, you kind of want to strive and try to get to Mythic rank. Maybe that's your next goal. I mean, for some people, it is very prestigious to even have that bronze little logo. You get the cosmetics, which is definitely very cool. And it's just one of those things that some people just want. I mean, it is up to you really where your Magic and what kind of style of Magic you like to play. If you just like playing casual Magic and just jump into play queue with just whatever pile you have put together, just to kind of have some fun with that, I mean, that's fine with you. I mean, it's just an option that's out there, and it's pretty cool that there is an option for people who maybe want to feel a little bit competitive, especially if you don't have a local game store nearby, or you don't play a lot of physical Magic. This is definitely a good way to kind of have that competitiveness, even though there's not really too many tournaments that really pop up that are within the Magic Arena client itself. So it's definitely a cool way in that sense. But guys, if you like the video, hit that like button. It definitely helps out. It lets me know you guys like these style of videos. If you have any questions for me, leave them down in the link below. I will try my best to answer them and in some form or way. With that being said, guys, if you want to know post new videos, hit that subscribe button, which I think I already said. I don't know why I'm saying this twice. I also want to just throw it out there. I want to thank the channel members of the channel. This is something I'm going to try to do in every video, so you may see this pop up more often. But I thank all the channel members who are members of the channel. If you want to become a channel member, hit the link down in the description below. It definitely helps the channel out if you want to support the channel. But with that being said, guys, until the next video, see you later.